Welcome into Off the Hook Sports. Caleb Calhoun here with you today. Dave Hooker is out sick. We hope to have him back tomorrow or later this week. We have a good bit to get to today. The show, since it's just me today, we're going to run a little bit shorter. We're not going to do the full 2 hours. We'll do a little bit over an hour. But within that hour, we will have a lot to get to. We're obviously going to talk about the big story of the day, Joey Aguilar committing to Tennessee. Did the Vols upgrade at quarterback? That's a poll question. Actually, you guys can go ahead and vote on that now. We're going to talk a lot about also while Joey Aguilar commits to Tennessee, and Tennessee basically effectively completed a trade for Nico Iamaleava with UCLA. We're going to talk about Madden Iamaleava leaving Arkansas for UCLA, and we're going to just talk about the Nico Iamaleava, the Iamaleava family at that point, and what this means for them going forward. College football playoff discussion. Some crazy stuff going on with the college football playoff. There is a suggestion out there being floated, I kid you guys not, that TV ratings be used as a criteria in the college football playoff. I'm not joking. That's about a meeting. That's about meetings later this week. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, and then as usual, got stat of the day and this day in Tennessee sports history. A couple of interesting ones for that. You were not going to want to miss those. And we're going to close with direct payments to players. That's now being talked about more seriously with the NCAA. Remember, the House settlement is coming later this summer. We're going to see how that all plays out. So a lot to get to. Let's dive in with today's tough question. Remember, the show is brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We are live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville. New and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Let's hop in with today's tough question. Now, UCLA quarterback Joey Aguilar has committed to Tennessee. Aguilar has spent the past 2 years with the Appalachian State Mountaineers, where he transferred to from junior college. And then he transferred to UCLA, transferred to the Bruins this past all season, spent all of spring practice with them. Then at the end of spring practice, Nico Iamaleava transferred from Tennessee to UCLA, or the day before spring practice ended for the Vols, which obviously put Aguilar in a tough spot because he had figured to be the starter at UCLA this year. And with Ilamalyava leaving, he decided to transfer Aguilar to Tennessee. So Joey Aguilar is now going to Tennessee. You might as well call this the first official trade in college football history. Tennessee gets a fifth-year senior at quarterback with 1 year of eligibility. It's exactly what they wanted because they can work with Aguilar this year, and then they can open up competition next year between Jake Merklinger, George McIntyre, and incoming recruit Faison Brandon. That's exactly how they want to. That's exactly how Josh Heupel wanted this to work out. So Joey Aguilar, for those who don't know, in 2 years at Appalachian State, as a junior, completed 63.7% of his passes for 3,757 yards, averaged 8.2 yards per attempt, had 33 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, but also ran for 245 yards and 3 touchdowns. Then last year, had a bit of a regression, actually. He only completed 55.9% of his passes for 3,003 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, averaging 7.7 yards per attempt, rushed for 207 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He had the same offensive coordinator both times in Frank Ponce and the same head coach in Sean Clark, but it was weird. There was a clear regression because they went from 9-5 Aguilar's first year in 2023 at Appalachian State to 5-6 last year, and Clark was fired. More details on Joey Aguilar is that before he was at Appalachian State, he was at Diablo Valley, where he completed 228 of 379 passes for 2,992 yards and 21 touchdowns with 10 interceptions while running for 619 yards and 2 touchdowns, also hauling in a reception. So he is a mobile quarterback, a dual threat quarterback. He was at Diablo Valley in 2021 and 2022, a junior college, Appalachian State in 2023 and 2024, and Tennessee in 2025. He hails from California, Oakley, California, to be exact. That's in Contra Costa County, California, which is, we could say, right around the San Francisco Bay Area, so more northern California. And he went to Freedom High School. That is all the details of Joey Aguilar. Again, he has 1 year of eligibility left, although that's up in the air given the Diego Pavia lawsuit about playing in junior college, but we'll have to see how that works. But today's tough question, let's dive in. Did the Tennessee Vols get an upgrade at quarterback? Remember, without Joey Aguilar, Tennessee was going to start Nico Iamaleava. Nico Iamaleava last year did have better numbers than Joey Aguilar. I'm not going to lie. He completed 63.8% of his passes for 2,616 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and averaged 7.8 yards per attempt, while Aguilar averaged 7.7 yards per attempt and had 23 touchdowns and 14 interceptions and just 55.9% of his passes. Also, Iamaleava ran better. He had 358 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Well, like I told you guys, Aguilar just had 207 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. So, did Tennessee upgrade at quarterback? Today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. I'm going to say yes. Yes, they upgraded at quarterback, but not significantly. And not, let me be very clear, they upgraded over last year at quarterback. They didn't upgrade over what I think Nico Iamaleava was going to be this year. I'm going to be honest with you guys. They didn't. You guys may think that Nico Iamaleava was only going to be as good as he was last year, which wasn't very good. I still believed that Nico would be a much improved quarterback this year. I'm not going to change that just because he transferred. Now, will he be better at UCLA than Joey Aguilar is at Tennessee? Doubtful. New system, less talent around him, all those things. But you also have to bring up the point that Aguilar, look, that was a clear regression last year. You can't look past that. And Nico Iamaleava, I don't see it likely that he has a regression. He played in a tougher conference, played tougher opponents, and had better numbers, honestly. I don't think you can honestly say that that Joey Aguilar is an upgrade over Nico Iamaleava. Now, a couple of caveats. Again, I think he may be an upgrade over last year's Nico Iamaleava, not over what Nico Iamaleava was going to be this year. I know that's splitting the baby. I know that's splitting hairs, but that's just how this is going, okay? And by the way, this is up on the poll question right now. Did the Vols upgrade at quarterback switching from Nico Iamaleava to Joey Aguilar? You can vote yes, no. I'm sorry. I just think that Joey Aguilar, I think there's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of potential. I think he could be fine at Tennessee, and I think Tennessee will be fine with him because I think they might have upgraded in general at quarterback. But I think I'm sorry, they might have upgraded in general as a team, which will make Aguilar look better. But I can't sit up there and say that I think Aguilar is an upgrade over what I thought Iamaleava was going to be. And so that's the one issue that I would say comes with Aguilar committing to Tennessee. Now, again, a lot of things to think about with Aguilar. There are some things to like more about him than with Nico. He does seem to be a more ball passer, watching some of his highlights last year. Now, I think Nico could have gotten better at that. The deep passes weren't there as much last year. That is a bit of a problem, and that's unfair to him. But that doesn't change the fact that when he did have those deep shots, he missed quite a few of them. Aguilar is a more, I guess, effective runner. He's not lanky, and he's not as awkward and lanky when he does run, which is a big deal. So I think that matters. But we haven't seen, and he does throw decent deep shots. He's very accurate over the middle of the field, which is a good sign. And he actually has a good zip, which is a very good sign. So I think that's the big thing with Joey Aguilar is he's got great zip on the ball over the middle of the field. He is accurate on the deep ball. Does seem to have good, should we say, he does seem to have good awareness in the pocket. And actually, for the record, awareness is not as important in Josh Heupel's system. You're taught to read one side of the field. So I think all of that is a good sign for Aguilar. But did they upgrade over what Iamaleava would be this year? I'm going to say no. You guys vote on they're going to upgrade. They upgraded over what Iamaleava was last year. You guys give your thoughts on it. Today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks and Jones. T. Scott Jones.
Talking about Joey Aguilar, listen to me. Talking about Joey Aguilar transferring to Tennessee from UCLA in an effective trade, Nico Iamaleava for Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar does have a quicker release, probably has better awareness, better zip over the middle, more effective runner. Nico still has a prettier deep ball. It's just not as accuracy was an issue. So going to the message boards again, my take that the Vols upgraded quarterback. Reading the poll question right now, it seems like the audience slightly sides with me. 53% say no, 47% say yes. I mean, it's a tough one. I'll say this. Again, they've upgraded over what Nico Iamaleava was last year at quarterback, but I don't think they've upgraded over what Nico Iamaleava would have been with Tennessee this year. Nico Iamaleava would have had more experience, put on some weight, would have had more help around him. So I think the receivers would have been better. So I think that Nico Iamaleava this year would have been better. He won't be better at UCLA. I want to be clear on that. Now, I want to address the message board points a little bit. David Speaks does bring up a good point. Mizzou's starting running back last year was Aguilar's running back in 2023, and his top wide receiver and most of his starting offensive line transferred in 2024. David, that's a very fair point, but I mean, you're right. There was a lot less help around Aguilar last year. But I would also venture to say that you got to give Iamaleava a break for the same thing at a higher level of competition. Brew McCoy should not have been starting last year as much as we all loved him. He just had lost a step. That messed up the whole receiving core. Dante Thornton was nicked all year, even though he started, and Squirrel White played with a shoulder injury all year. So the three receivers Tennessee meant to go with in their rotation couldn't stretch the field the way they're meant to in Heupel's offense. So Iamaleava also didn't have the help he needed, and he had two tackles playing hurt at the beginning of the year, particularly Lance Hurd on a sprained ankle. So he barely had time to get the ball out. So if you're going to be fair to Aguilar about losing help around him at Appalachian State, while still being a quarterback against much less competition, you got to be fair to Iamaleava with the lack of help he had at Tennessee early last year and actually throughout the year to a certain degree. Derek brings up a good point. Derek, I love this point that he says, I don't think talent matters as much in this offense. It's the execution and timing that makes it dangerous when we can play with tempo. Derek, you're right. Playing with tempo. And then another point by Derek is that we haven't seen true tempo since Hendon left as far as making an impact in the game. Derek, that's a great point. The talent is not as important. I honestly didn't understand why Heupel went all out for a quarterback anyway, because all you need is a quarterback that can run this offense. Get the talent elsewhere, particularly at receiver. And truth be told, this year things could work better for Tennessee. Not because of Nico, or not because of Joey Aguilar replacing Nico, but just because the receivers are upgraded, and I think the rules changes in college football will allow teams to run more tempo because less faking of injuries. That's a big advantage that they're going to have. Kyle says he gets the ball. GBO Kyle Beach says he gets the ball out of his hands a lot faster than Nico. That is true. That part's true. I think Nico would have improved on that this year, though. And Derek asking who wins more games, UCLA or Tennessee. Derek, come on. It's going to be Tennessee. So this comes down to the talent around him pretty much. And so I would say that while Nico had some issues last year, I still, and again, my final take on this is that Joey Aguilar is going to be a better quarterback than Nico Iamaleava was last year. Okay. But he's not going to be a better quarterback than Nico Iamaleava was going to be this year. Okay. So that's where I land on that. You guys can give me your thoughts. But I think that long term, I think that Tennessee still would have been better off with Nico Iamaleava, although they are still actually somewhat in better shape, given the fact that they now have a stopgap year, and then they have an open competition for quarterback next year with two guys who will have been in the system. So it'll be fun to watch that next year. The show represented again by Banks and Jones, Tennessee. Well, first off, portions of the program are actually brought to you by Chattanooga Mortgage. Congratulations. Your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. And continue to vote on the poll question. Did the Vols upgrade a quarterback switching from Nico Iamaleava to Joey Aguilar? Have I been saying Aguilar this whole time, guys? I know I meant to say Aguilar, but like Christina Aguilera is in my mind. Okay. I'm a fan. The 53% say no, 47% say yes. It's Joey Aguilar. Please let me know if I've been saying it Aguilar. I feel really, really, really bad if I have, and I apologize up front. I know it's Aguilar, just a brain lapse. So anyways, moving on, we are going to do the stat of the day. And we're going to do the stat of the day right now because it actually is interesting and it plays off what we just talked about. Because Joey Aguilar has committed to the Vols. And the question becomes, did Tennessee upgrade at quarterback? But as far as the stat of the day goes, if Joey Aguilar starts a game for Tennessee in the fall, he will be the 5th transfer quarterback from a Division I school to start a game for Tennessee this century. Who are the other 4? That's our stat of the day. I'm actually not going to answer that until we come back from the break. Funny enough, let's have a little fun with this. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win, why settle? Banks & Jones, led by tscottjones.com, banksandjones.com. Live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used. East Tennessee's largest Ford and volume dealer. Stay with us. 2 minutes. When we come back, I will answer the other 4 quarterbacks who transferred from a Division I school to start for Tennessee this century. Joey Aguilar would be the 5th if he started this fall. Leave your votes on the message board. Leave your takes. Name your quarterbacks on the message board. See if you get them. 2 minutes off the hook sports.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. banksandjones.com.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at nfc1.com or stop by any one of our 7 East.
Welcome back to the program. Off the Hook Sports, Caleb Calhoun here. Dave Hooker is out sick. Somebody asked if we were going to talk about Janiah Barker transferring to the Lady Vols. Yes, that will be on the program later in the show. First off, to address a couple of things. Did anybody get the guess of the 4 quarterbacks who transferred from a Division I school to have started a game for Tennessee in the 21st century? I bet you got 2 of them. But the question is, did you get all 4? The 2 that you probably got are Joe Milton, who started all of 2023 and had transferred to Tennessee from Michigan. The other is Hendon Hooker, who started most of 2021 and 2022 and had transferred from Virginia Tech. Does anybody know the other 2? Anybody? I'm going to the message board. I'm just trying to see if any of you guys know the other 2 who transferred. Come on, message board. Is anybody going to get it? I'm trying to help you guys out here. All right, here's the other 2. Let's have some fun. Rick Clausen, Tennessee, 2005, transferred to Tennessee from LSU. And lastly, C.J. Leak started Tennessee's 2002 game at Georgia, had transferred from Wake Forest. Yeah, so the 4 Division I transfers are C.J. Leak, Rick Clausen, Hendon Hooker, Joe Milton. All 4 of them have started a game for Tennessee in the 21st century and transferred to Tennessee from another Division I program. How about that? Yeah, who saw CJ Leak on the roster? All right, or on this list. Just thought it'd be a little funny. I had to bring that out because that's still kind of wild that happened. Moving on. We're still sticking with quarterback transfers because some crazy stuff went down beyond just Joey Aguilar transferring to Tennessee. A little more wildness happened recently, and that involves the Iamaleava family, guys, because, and for those who say they didn't remember CJ Leak starting, yeah, I had to think about it too, but they started at Georgia in 2002, and then James Banks played the rest of the game. CJ Leak started the first 2 drives. All right, so moving on. Sticking with the Iamaleava brothers. And before we start with that, I just want to say again that the show represented by Banks and Jones, we're live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio, and portions of the program are brought to you by the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. HempHouseChatWith2Ts.com, HempHouseChatWith2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. Nico Iamaleava's brother, Madden Iamaleava, has transferred to UCLA. Madden Iamaleava had initially committed to UCLA last year during signing day. He's a true freshman. He flipped his commitment to Arkansas during the early signing period of 2024. Took part in all of spring practice in early 2025. Bobby Petrino, Arkansas's offensive coordinator under Sam Pittman, went as far as to compare him to Lamar Jackson, who Bobby Petrino also coached. And then with the spring portal over, Nico Iamaleava transferred to UCLA, where Madden had flipped his recruit from, and now Madden Iamaleava has transferred to UCLA to join his brother there. This is very weird, and I got to point this out. When Madden Iamaleava flipped from UCLA, he flipped from Deshaun Foster, who is still the head coach at UCLA. I just want to point that out, okay? Now, Tino Sunseri, since then, has been named the offensive coordinator at UCLA. I believe he was named the offensive coordinator, though, on December the 12th. And Madden Iamaleava, he flipped to Arkansas. I'm looking up the exact date, but I'm trying to pull this out, guys. But, okay, he flipped Arkansas on December the 4th. All right, so let me try to do this timing for you guys real quick, because something about this isn't adding up. But I guess we'll look at it now, and we could say Eric Bieniemy was obviously UCLA's offensive coordinator in 2024. Eric Bieniemy has since become the Bears running backs coach in 2025. So I'm double checking this. When did you guys get on the message boards? When did Eric Bieniemy leave UCLA? UCLA fired Eric Bieniemy. That's right. And they fired him on December the 5th. So if Nico Iamaleava, if Madden Iamaleava flipped on December the 4th, here's what I do think happened to a certain degree. I'm going to put all this out there. I think Madden Iamaleava flipped from UCLA to Arkansas because it was known that Eric Bieniemy was being fired. I think then a week later, Tino Sunseri was hired. Nobody knew much about Tino Sunseri, but it has come out that he's going to try to run the pro-style elements with the spread, the Indiana offense that the Hoosiers ran last year. I do actually believe there is some truth to the desire to play in a more pro-style concept. And also, Madden did seem to want to go to UCLA, period. This is all above water talk, okay? So Nico and Madden are at UCLA now together. At the same time, yeah, it seems like his dad is just stringing them along and trying to maximize what they can. And I think Deshaun Foster, who is a little desperate after going 5-7 last year, was a running backs coach, promoted to head coach at UCLA after Chip Kelly left in the middle of the night, is very insecure about his job at UCLA and this was a way for him to buy some time getting the Iamaleava brothers. However, bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC, My Life Made Better. The Iamaleava's presence at UCLA is going to wreck that team from a chemistry perspective. The reason I say that is because this team, I think, bought into Joey Aguilar being their starting quarterback in the fall. They worked with him all of spring camp. And then after working with him all spring camp, at the end of spring camp, Deshaun Foster goes and adds Nico Iamaleava, whose dad is a pain, as we know, is going to suck up all the energy from the rest of the teammates who seem to have bonded with Aguilar and now have to accept that Iamaleava is their guy. Now Madden Iamaleava is on the team, so Nico's father is even more involved. I don't think the players are too happy about that, guys. I'm just going to say it. So bank on it. The Iamaleavas together at UCLA will destroy team chemistry.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank.
All right, welcome back to the program. Madden Iamaleava, I firmly believe, is going to, and Nico Iamaleava are going to wreck team chemistry at UCLA. Will the Iamaleavas at UCLA together destroy team chemistry? Yes, 86%. No, 14%. 20 votes already in. You guys all seem to be agreeing with me. Madden Iamaleava is going to wreck team chemistry. And look, I'll tell you my story and my history of this. In 2006, Ed Orgeron and Ole Miss, Ed Orgeron got hired in 2005. Brent Schaefer got dismissed from Tennessee and then lit it up in junior college in 2005. Ed Orgeron in 2006 basically went and got Brent Schaefer out of the transfer portal. And before the season even started, before Brent Schaefer could academically qualify to get to Ole Miss to practice in fall camp, he named Schaefer the starter. That wrecked team chemistry, guys. That wrecked it. Ole Miss never recovered. Ed Orgeron recruited well, but it didn't matter because having Schaefer on that team and naming him the starter just destroyed the team. Josh Heupel in 2021 almost wrecked team chemistry. Heupel in 2021 named Joe Milton the starter. When I can tell you right now from people I talked to on the inside, Hendon Hooker, everybody felt that Hendon Hooker was the better quarterback during fall camp. What happened? It was Hendon Hooker versus Harrison Bailey. I can't remember if Kadon Salter was there in spring practice, but Hendon Hooker, Harrison Bailey, and Brian Maurer were all there. So all three of them were all there. Heupel went and got Joe Milton out of the transfer portal, the one guy he didn't sign. He had Joe Milton walking the sidelines during the orange and white game that year, despite never practicing with this team in spring practice because he wasn't eligible. And then in the fall camp, he basically gave the job to Joe Milton. He had a fake competition. Now, to Heupel's credit, as Hendon Hooker balled out in game time, Heupel made the switch, went on to Hendon Hooker. But it was a disaster. It was a near disaster. I do think if Joe Milton doesn't get hurt against Pittsburgh, by the way, I think Tennessee stumbles to 5-7, 4-8 that year. I'm not lying, guys. I don't think that Tennessee beats Kentucky. I'm pretty positive they don't beat Kentucky that year. If that happens, I also don't think they beat well, Kentucky's the big one. Yeah, I don't think they beat Kentucky, so I think they go 6-6. But I also think there's a really good chance, guys, that they don't beat Missouri or South Carolina. I know they blew both those teams out that year, but it seemed like the team just came together a lot more for Hendon Hooker. I'm just going to be honest with you guys on that. And they may even lose to Vanderbilt. Okay. They would have come apart with Joe Milton. I just have to be honest with you on that. So I think the Iamaleavas are going to wreck team chemistry. I think they're going to destroy it, honestly. I think it's going to be kind of a really, really, really bad situation at UCLA. I can't believe all of this has been happening to be fair. It's just wild the way this is all played out. But yes, Nico Iamaleava has absolutely destroyed team chemistry. He's absolutely wrecked the program. Getting Nico Iamaleava, I think, is going to destroy team chemistry at UCLA, and getting Madden Iamaleava there is only going to make it worse. It is wild that Madden Iamaleava is there. So the other question, do you guys think that the Iamaleava family always wanted their kids in Southern California, though? I mean, I'm not here to talk about whether California taxes or whether that's a better place to live. They're from there. It's home for them. Do you think it's possible that they wanted to be at home? I mean, that's very that's strongly possible. I think that you could maybe say that they wanted to be close to home. And look, I think had Nico Iamaleava transferred in the winter, won the job in the spring, he probably could have won the team over at UCLA. But I think the way this has all worked out, I don't think there's any way possible that they can get team chemistry the way they need to. I think it's just I think there's going to be a revolt, and Deshaun Foster doesn't seem like one who has control of the system. So I feel like there's going to be a revolt afterwards. So we're going to have to see how that all works out. Portions of the program are brought to you by Hound Dogs of Knoxville, champions look good in orange, hdknoxville.com, hdknoxville.com. To go to the message board just a little bit, Nolan Kirkpatrick says, I don't think UCLA's program is exactly in a solid spot anyway, so I don't think the Nico brothers going there will really have much of an effect other than typing up NIL money. Nolan, I'm going to say I might actually disagree with you a little bit. UCLA wasn't any sort of like UCLA wasn't in any sort of great situation. Okay, but look, they could have taken a step forward with Tino Sunseri's offensive coordinator. Maybe Tino Sunseri is better than we think. Maybe he runs a decent offense and it'll work. And if Deshaun Foster just goes hands off, and with a Joey Aguilar, who a lot of people do think is good, I think they had a chance to be worthwhile. Looking at their schedule now, I mean, they visit, I think they could beat UNLV, New Mexico, Northwestern, Maryland at home. I mean, that's 4 wins. Maybe steal a couple on the road. Maybe Washington and Nebraska also at home. Maybe upset Utah early in the year. I mean, there's a lot of things there. Maybe beat Michigan State on the road. I mean, look, I don't think it's crazy to think that they could find a way to 6 wins with the right pieces around them. So I think we got to be a little bit more fair on that. I think that I think what's really happening though is, look, again, I'm talking about a way they could barely get to 6 or 7 wins. But if you have a revolt the way I'm talking about, I'm seeing more Ed Orgeron, Brent Schaefer, Ole Miss, and all of that falling apart. I just don't see how this works out long term. I think that there's a lot of trouble happening, and there's going to be trouble in paradise in UCLA, and it's not really a paradise to begin with. We can just say that. Portions of the program are brought to you by Peak IV Hydration in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live your life to the fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health with Peak IV Hydration. peakivhydration.com. In 2 minutes, we're going to talk a little bit more now about the college football playoff. The college football playoff has floated a suggestion that seems downright crazy. Stick with us. 2 minutes. Off the Hook Sports, live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. The show brought to you by Banks & Jones, represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln Knoxville.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
I Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Portions of the program brought to you by Quality Tire Pros, serving Chattanooga community since 1957. All brands of tires, full service automotive, brake alignments, oil changes, and more. QualityTirePros.com. Walk in and say, hey, Bo, Off the Hook Sports sent you. QualityTirePros.com. Dave Hooker would like to share something with you, and it's about his Jeep, obviously. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used. When he was in the buying process, he could be a little picky. He knew he wanted a Bronco initially, and he ended up with a Jeep, but he needed someone to walk him through the options. Andy and Nick White had him covered while he decided on just what vehicle he was going with. He had no doubt that he'd leave with a quality vehicle because that's all they carry at Ted Russell Ford Lincoln on Kingston Pike and Parkside Drive. After one meeting, he left knowing what he should expect for the vehicle or vehicles that he wanted. Then it was just a matter of time of making up his mind. And you won't believe this. Nick told him if they don't hear from him soon enough to call his cell, that is called 5-star customer service with no pressure. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln on Kingston Pike and Parkside Drive. If you want to stop at lot after lot and waste precious time, that's an option. But why? Ted Russell Ford Lincoln has perfected the buying process. The good news is Dave had plenty of time to decide. With Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, he knew they'd have whatever vehicle he decided upon on their lot. After all, they're East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Whether it's partnering with local businesses or sending someone home in their first car, Ted Russell Ford Lincoln loves to be a part of special moments in East Tennessee. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln views it as an honor to serve their friends and neighbors. That's why they're so committed to providing exceptional customer service. There's nothing better than driving the car of your dreams, and Ted Russell Ford Lincoln believes it's a pleasure to help people do just that every day. Do yourself a favor. If you want a fantastic vehicle at a great price and a smile on your face as you drive off the lot, stop by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln on Kingston Pike and Parkside Drive. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, the exclusive vehicle provider and studio sponsor of Off the Hook Sports. All right, moving on to a little more talk. We're going to talk a little bit of college football playoff. Let's play some hot or cold, guys. What do you say? Heather Dinich released a report this week that leaders of the college football playoff will gather in Las Colinas, Texas this week for their annual spring meetings where they're going to discuss the playoff's future format and how to best determine the national champion in 2026 and beyond. Now, according to Dinich, no major decisions are expected, but there is a sense of urgency because the iteration of the playoff must be submitted by December the 1st. Obviously, as of right now, this fall is still going to be a 12-team playoff determined by a selection committee that involves the 5 highest-ranked conference champions and the next 7 highest-ranked teams. But they're going to have to figure out what to do going forward. There's many questions, things like, will the selection committee stay the same? That's kind of an interesting question on its own. And we're talking about in general, like, will they still have the same process to selecting people? But we're going to get into all of that right now. And I want to talk about some things that were, and also another one, what's the timeline to answer this question? So will they change the selection committee? Will they answer the questions? Is there a timeline? Those aren't the biggest deals. I want to talk about the specific things that have been floated as a proposal. And we're going to play a little hot or cold. The first one, that is still being floated. Automatic qualifiers by conference. I don't mean conference champions. What I'm talking about is assuming the playoff moves to 14 or 16 teams, which is almost a certainty. There's a floated model to have automatic qualifiers by conference, i.e. a 14-team model that includes 4 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten teams, 2 ACC, 2 Big 12, and 1 group of 5 and 1 at-large spot, which would obviously be Notre Dame if they're ranked high enough. So if Notre Dame's ranked high enough, they get the at-large spot. Otherwise, it goes to somebody else. That's not a look. I'm going to say this up front. I know that sounds horrible. That sounds terrible. To guarantee spots to conferences just seems ridiculous. Here's the incentive behind it. They want to incentivize teams to schedule major non-conference games. Okay. They don't know how to do that because after last year's season where they rewarded Indiana for playing the worst schedule ever, right now teams are incentivized to play terrible non-conference games. They don't want that. However, here's the catch. How do the non-conference games matter if how you get to the playoff is where you finish within your conference? That's the giant flaw in this situation. Now, I'm going to point this out. It has been floated that the solution to that is and this is early on, guys. I'm cold on that model because I don't think it would work anyway. Here's the only way I'm hot on it. If they don't guarantee the 4 spots to where those teams are in the conference standings, but they guarantee them based on where they're the 4 highest ranked teams in the conference. So again, how about just the 4 teams in the league that have the highest college football playoff rankings, which may necessarily reflect the standings in the conference? You do that, you could incentivize non-conference games and big non-conference matchups. We'll have to see, but it's one proposal. So I'm cold on it, but willing to change. The next one that they're discussing this week is whether or not they're going to change the seeding system this fall. As of right now, the way it worked last year was the top 4 conference champions got buys. That ended up being a flaw in so many ways because you were more incentivized to be the 5 or the 6 seed than you were to be the 1 or 2 seed. Because if you were the 5 or the 6 seed, maybe you didn't even play hard in your conference. Penn State, who didn't even play that hard to win their conference, they say they got the so that was an effective buy because they didn't have to play hard to win their conference. And then their first game was a home game against SMU. Okay, you get SMU, and then you get to play the worst of the top 4 conference champions in the next round. You have a clear path to the semifinals. I mean, I'm sorry, but they do have to change the seeding. And I do think for this fall, they need to do that specifically. Now, they got to get unanimous consent to do it. The problem is that the reason the smaller conferences won't go with it is because if you get a bye, that counts as payouts for 2 wins in the college football playoff. So Boise State, the Mountain West got paid out for 2 wins just by them getting a bye. So you have to come up with some scenario that makes sure that's not the case. I don't know what it is, but it's a problem on its own with that. So changing the seeding system this fall, I'm still hot on. I'm very hot on. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off. Like, they definitely need to change the seeding system this fall. But the craziest, wackiest, and probably worst proposal that was floated comes in last. First, hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. cityheatandair.com.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
There's your fair. All right, hold on to your seatbelts. You may be a fan of this if you're a Tennessee fan because it might actually help them. But it's a terrible idea. According to Dinich, there is some talk of TV ratings playing a role in the college football playoff criteria. according to the story, what it says is that, pulling up the exact quote right now, one possibility, which could be viewed as a compromise. Now, here's where the compromise issue. Power conferences are trying to ensure they get more automatic qualifiers than other conferences. That's where this comes from. Rather than do the automatic qualifiers, they have floated as a compromise to not do that, but use TV ratings. So the quote is, one possibility, which can be viewed as a compromise, is having conferences earn automatic bids through their play each season, a model in which Power 4 leagues can earn guaranteed spots through a combination of its team's overall records and maybe even TV ratings, according to a source could be presented. The highest ranked conference would earn the most automatic bids. Yes. They would do an automatic qualifiers based on the highest ranked conference, based on overall records and TV ratings. Yes, they might actually use TV ratings to determine who gets into the college football playoff. I'm going to set this as a poll question. Should TV ratings be a factor at all? Should TV ratings be a factor at all in the CFP selection? Yes, it's about money. No, that's insane. Those are the questions. Those are the answers. Look, it's insane. We know already that they use TV ratings in their selection. We just know that. Okay, it's not a shock. Like if it's between like a 8 and a 9, if you're down to 2 teams and they have very similar resumes, yeah, you're going to use the TV ratings as a tiebreaker. I'm actually okay with that. Actually factoring it in as a formula, though, guys, it's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. And so I got to be honest, that's absolutely ridiculous. Did I miss the super chat, guys? I'm sorry. I'm trying to go back up and find it. If somebody wants to show me the super chat, I may have missed it, but I try to read all the super chats. I apologize. It's just me on the message. So missing some things on the message board today can be a little bit tricky. But getting to the point, it's absolutely insane that it's absolutely insane that somebody would actually float the idea of TV ratings in this situation. By the way, Sandras Rux to our super chat. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I'm sorry, that's when I found it. You asked, do I like the Lady Vols transfer, Janiah Barker? I am going to get to that. I'll get to that later in the show. That's a segment towards the end. I appreciate your super chat a lot, and that could end up being very interesting. So, anyways, the idea that TV ratings should ever be an official formulaic factor in determining the college football playoffs is ridiculous. I know it's entertainment. I know there's politicking involved in selections. I'm actually kind of fine with that, okay, for college sports. But good Lord, to actually factor it in as an official part of the formula for which is the best conference? I mean, you'll destroy the credibility of the sport to a lot of people, and you're trying to grow the sport. And I get, like, it matters most where the fans are, and the fans are in the SEC, and they won't care about that because the SEC will always dominate TV ratings. But you can't destroy the credibility of the sport, guys, like that. I'm sorry. So I'm in the end of the day, that's a terrible idea. And going to my poll question, should TV ratings be a factor at all in the CFP selection? Yes, it's about money, 17%. No, that's insane, 83%. It's insane. Guys, I'm sorry. It's insane. And I'm more just for, I don't know why. Look, at this point, I think conference champions, I'm not so sure. I think we should be getting rid of conferences. Can I say that up front? It's time to get rid of conferences. It's time to get rid of conferences and have just maybe 60 teams and you schedule who the heck you want, or have 120. I don't care. Just have all 120, 130 in college football, and you just schedule who you want each year, and you fill out those schedules. You call it a day. You sign contracts with everybody, and then you just pick the top 12 teams. These conferences and auto bids are absolutely stupid. They're absolutely ridiculous, and they insult everybody's intelligence, but conference races are what people want. So, yes, there's a ratings bias. Orange Blood says, no question, there's some ratings bias, whether intentional or subconsciously. Yes, there's absolutely a ratings bias, but what I'm saying is it shouldn't officially be a part of the formula. That's absolutely insane, and there is absolutely no reason somebody should ever do that, guys. I'm sorry. No one should ever even consider doing that. Portions of the program are brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia daily updates. Also, we are now going to get to this date in Tennessee sports history. That brought to you by Ted Russell Ford. This day in Tennessee sports history coming up in 30 seconds.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American-made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. This day in Tennessee sports history. Right now, today is the 11-year anniversary of when Donnie Tyndall was hired as head coach of Tennessee. Yes, that's right. It's the 11-year anniversary when Donnie Tyndall was hired as head coach of Tennessee. He coached Tennessee for one season to effectively a 500 record, but he had a great recruiting class that seemed to be coming in. He had a great style. He finished 16-16. And got fired because of an academic fraud case that landed him a 10-year show cause. Why is that relevant? Well, the 10-year show cause is up this year, guys. Nobody's hired him yet. I'm not saying I wouldn't, though. Donnie Tyndall's a great coach. I'm just going to tell you he was recruiting well, and his system was great. He pressed on every made basket, and he ran an up-tempo. They pressed on every made basket. Then they played a matchup zone under the half court, and then they ran a high-low motion offense on offense. So basically, it was a combination of Bruce Pearl and Rick Pitino's defense, depending on whether or not it was a made basket or they were in a half court, and Kansas's offense. It was just perfectly well done, and he was recruiting players to run it. It's kind of sad how it worked out for him, but Donnie Tyndall, I think he would have been very successful had he stayed at Tennessee, but it's the 11-year anniversary of when they hired Donnie Tyndall. Portions of the program brought to you by Work Trucks. We're all about trucks that are actually available, trucks that help you maximize your profits by having the right work vehicle now. Time is money. The perfect work vehicle doesn't break down and has all the space to carry what you need. That's what Work Trucks is intent on offering, while other dealerships just can't do it. Contracting is about time. Work Trucks saves you time with less back and forth trips and trucks that pass the highest standards to be put to work. The process is also quick and easy when choosing a vehicle for Work Trucks. Cargo vans, utility body trucks with the nap height work bodies installed, pickup trucks of all sizes, and anything special like cranes or dump trucks. Work Truck supplies vehicles to people just like you and get you back on the road tomorrow. No dealership runaround. If you're a contractor, you need to know Work Trucks, and that's a fact. Service industry, remember Work Trucks. Work Trucks carries the trucks that your business has to have. You need Work Trucks. Clinton Highway in Knoxville and in downtown Birmingham. For the entire inventory, go online to worktrucksllc.com, worktrucksllc.com with an X. Why risk chancing your future and business on the wrong piece of equipment that burns your time? Worktrucksllc.com. Work Trucks will also work to make sure you have the perfect vehicle you have to have. They'll even find a perfect truck, outfit it, and make sure it fits your needs to a T. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com, worktrucksllc.com. Proud supporters of the Tennessee Vols. When we come back, 2 minutes, stick with us. The Lady Vols have added a transfer. We're going to talk about what she brings. It's more UCLA talk. 2 minutes. Stick with us. Off the Hook Sports.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American-made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. we are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Portions of the program brought to you by the UPS Store Hardin Valley, helping individuals and small businesses, wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated at 10629 Hardin Valley Road. I told you guys we're going to have a quicker show today just because of Dave being sick. But we do have one more thing to get to, and that is obviously Janiah Barker. And this goes to Sandra's super chat. Sandra, thanks again. I really appreciate that. We're talking about that now. Janiah Barker has transferred to the Tennessee Lady Vols. Transfers the same day Joey Aguilar does. So 2 UCLA players in different sports have transferred to the two different Vols programs. Janiah Barker is a 6'4" forward. She last year with UCLA averaged 7.5 points, 6 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 0.6 steals, 0.5 blocks, and 36 games and 17.5 minutes per game. She only started 3. She was coming off the bench most of the time. Janiah Barker is there to add even more athleticism in the post for the Lady Vols. That's her big specific focus. And we're going to play a little bit of 4 downs with Janiah Barker being at the Lady Vols to talk about the value she brings to the program. 4 downs brought to you by Double D Piping. We do it now. First down. Janiah Barker brings a lot of good production to the Lady Vols. She's the Big Ten 6th Woman of the Year last year. So even though her numbers weren't blowing you away, she was the 6th Woman of the Year. She was one of the best players in the league off the bench. Now, as far as her production goes, she was 18.2% from 3. That obviously has to go up. 65.3% for the free throw line is not that great either. So her shooting has to improve. But I've told you guys before, in Kim Caldwell's system, which is so up-tempo, a lot of times people's three-point shooting improves dramatically because they get more open looks because of all the transition. Now, that doesn't mean that you want that Janiah Barker will ever be reliable, and a lot of the players on this team weren't reliable this past year. But it does get them to a certain point, and that's the good news. So that's first down. That's the good news for the Tennessee Lady Vols, is that she is going to be very she brings a good bit of production to the program. Second down for Janiah Barker. She brings measurables, man. She's 6'4". She's athletic. She's strong under the basket. I mean, these are all hugely valuable things. Okay, so yeah, Janiah Barker is very athletic. She can play at the high post and drive to the basket, which is a big advantage in Kim Caldwell's system too, because again, Caldwell likes the up-tempo system, and she does a lot of good things on that front. So with that in mind, I think Janiah Barker brings a great level of athleticism to the program, and I think that's a huge deal. So I think she is obviously going to do a lot for the Lady Vols in terms of that. They have size, but it wasn't size and athleticism in terms of a combination this year. There wasn't enough of it this past year. So Barker adds more of that size athleticism combination. So that's a big help. Third down, SEC experience. And as someone brings up, she was actually very effective from 3 her sophomore year, and that's where I'm getting to now. Janiah Barker played 2 years with Texas A&M. She led the team in 12.7 points per game and had 6 rebounds a game as a true freshman. And then last year, 2 years ago at A&M, she started 27 to 30 games, and she had 365 total points, averaging 12.2 points and 7.6 rebounds per game. She was named to the Winter SEC Academic Honor Roll and the Katrina McLean Watch List. She was twice the Freshman of the Week at Texas A&M, so she has experience of production at Texas A&M, and this goes even more to production, as some people are pointing out. Now, it's a bit of a different level when you play at UCLA because of how good that program is, but still 12 points in her first 2 years per game in each of them, and shooting 40% from three. And one of those, I think that we can safely say that Janiah Barker brings production and SEC experience and could be very, very, very good with that in mind. So Janiah Barker brings, again, a lot to the table, a great, 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 great fit for this program as a whole. It's hard to overstate how good of a fit that she is for the program in general. Fourth down will be brought to you soon enough. First, a quick message from Double D Piping.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beat. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports, talking about Janiah Barker transferring to Tennessee. Fourth down is this. Janiah Barker brings a track record of winning. In Joni Taylor's 3 years at Texas A&M, she's only made the NCAA tournament once. That happened to be Janiah Barker's second year at Texas A&M. And then she transferred, and you saw that Texas A&M fell apart, went from 19-13 2 years ago to 10-19 this past year. But more importantly, obviously, is what just happened at UCLA, because the UCLA women's basketball program, led by Corey Close, just made the Final Four. They just went 34-3 and made the Final Four. They had won the Big Ten tournament. And guys, they went 16-2 in the Big Ten and still didn't finish first in the Big Ten because UCLA or USC was 7-1. So if you want to talk about where the success in Southern California is, it ain't in football at UCLA with Nico Iamaleava and those guys. It's in basketball right now. UCLA and USC are absolutely balling out right now. So yeah, Janiah Barker made the Final Four, helped UCLA get to the Final Four in the NCAA tournament. Look, winning experience is a big deal, particularly with the culture Kim Caldwell's trying to establish. That is a big part of turning a program around and expecting to go to the Final Four, which the Lady Vols, while they have been winning in the NCAA tournament and doing well, they haven't made the Final Four since 2008, their last national championship team with Candace Parker. So yes, winning is a huge deal, and they need to be able to win. And in all honesty, I think Janiah Barker brings a lot to the table for them to be able to do that. So Janiah Barker is it can be a very effective player. Kyle Beach has a great point, says UCLA used her a lot different last year. She didn't shoot as many threes. That's a very good point. And so it seems like Tennessee was going after her. And Kyle, you're right. I think they were going after her last year, and then she ended up going to UCLA, which is understandable. UCLA was a better program. The question is, what's the Lady Vols starting lineup going to be like next year? Because we still don't have that. We still don't know exactly how that's going to look. There's a lot of things that could go with that. The Lady Vols starting lineup, to be fair, is kind of overrated in Kim Caldwell's system. Because she runs so much tempo, she goes 12 deep and pretty much runs everybody equally at different times. I mean, she has to run all 12 players. Otherwise, there will be players get tired. There will be players, they'll just be too gassed. And as we saw, because she didn't have enough depth this past year to be able to run the right players enough, she had to run some more than others, and then they got really, really tired late in the season. They turned it back on once NCAA tournament hit, because luckily for the Lady Vols, or for women's basketball programs in general, there's 2 weeks between the conference tournament and the start of the NCAA tournament. But in general, Janiah Barker as a winner will fit right in with this system and what Kim Caldwell is trying to do. She's a great pickup for the Tennessee Lady Vols, and I think they should be excited. Add in the number 1 recruiting class with the Paulden twins. They are absolutely going to ball out. Kyle says, I think they still add a couple more players. Kyle, I think you might be right, but that recruiting class is a huge part of it. So, and they return some key players too. So they have a lot to be excited about. This program is in great shape, and this program I think could be in the Final Four next year. I think it's that good. The show represented by Banks and Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win, why settle? Banks and Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. Led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We're live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. We are ending the show a little early today. We'll be back tomorrow. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern. Please hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn the notifications on, tell a friend. Again, building something great here at Off the Hook Sports. We want you to be a part of it. Thanks a lot. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Again, we will be on again at 10 a.m. Eastern Wednesday with Caleb Calhoun. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.